Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends Squadron Supreme 2-pack with Nighthawk and Blur. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends Squadron Supreme 2-pack with Nighthawk and Blur. Now this is the second Squadron Supreme 2-pack we have gotten this year. The first one being Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum, which I haven't got yet, so I'm going to have to backtrack. But all for good reason, because at San Diego Comic-Con they did confirm we are getting the last member to complete this team with Power Princess. So hopefully by the end of the year, Hasbro will have actually completed a full team in the same calendar year, which is probably the first time in Marvel Legends history. They should definitely do more of that. And for those that don't know, the Squadron Supreme are basically Marvel's parody of the DC's Justice League, with each character being inspired by their DC counterpart. So this is definitely not Batman, and this is definitely not The Flash. But both of these characters we have got alternate versions of in our collection already, so I will do some comparisons today. But here we have the plastic-free packaging with the digital renders on the front, completely pinless, comic images on one side, more digital renders on the back, with a little breakdown of their very few accessories. So without further ado, let's get it open. Here we have Nighthawk and Blur out of the packaging with their accessories, but it is unfortunately only a set of interchangeable hands. Nighthawk does come with what I can only explain as definitely not batarangs. Now, usually Squadron Supreme are set in an alternative reality, and there are multiple versions throughout the Marvel Universe, but the team that Marvel Legends is completing is based off the 2021 Heroes Return version, which is set in the regular 616 reality, but an alternative timeline where the Avengers were never formed, and the Squadron Supreme are Earth's mightiest heroes. So it's actually the most modern form of the Squadron Supreme we are getting in Legends form, which I'm absolutely fine with. They are going to look great together. Very much looking forward to Power Princess. So let's look at these individually one by one, as they are both completely pinless figures. So I think this is Vulcan and this is the Sunfire body, but with updated arms and legs. So we'll start off with Blur. So Blur's 616 counterpart is actually Speed Demon, who's trying to whiz through the background, but he's not too quick for us, is he? So we will come back and compare him in a minute. But let's take a look at this. It is the Sunfire body, so it's much of the same at about 6 1/4 or just under 6 1/4 inches tall. But they have upgraded it now, so it is completely pinless with the arms and legs. A recent example we got on the Sunfire body who didn't have those updated arms and legs is actually this Ant-Man that I never reviewed on the channel, but it is a very nice figure. But unfortunately, they didn't update the arms and legs. So you actually get pins on the elbows and pins on the knees, even though they're on the same base body. So definitely think a character like Ant-Man is more worthy of pinless arms and legs than Blur is, but I'm not the one making the decisions. Even still, Blur is completely pinless, which is very aesthetically pleasing, and yeah, it's much of the same with the Sunfire articulation. So let's take a closer look. Blur has this big cheesy grin with the teeth on show, looks nice enough. You've got the big thick red visors with the yellow lightning bolt effects coming off them, with some yellow ear guards as well on their head. These effect pieces I say effect pieces, they're just sort of dangling off the head there, so they're separate pieces is what I meant to say. Then you've got the navy blue costume going all the way up from the head, down the neck, and then all down the body. You've got the red belt, which is a separate piece. You lift that up, and that's where you're going to get your waist swivel on this Sunfire body. You can also see the crunch as well. The lines look pretty clean as well, and it's much of what we've seen before. As I said, they've just updated the arms and legs, so a little bit of forward and back. You've got the butterfly joints as well, which are decent enough. I've always quite liked that range, to be fair. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow with the pinless elbows as well. They're okay. Moving down to the legs, you've got the thigh cut, double jointed, pinless knees that go quite far back, to be fair. No problems there. He can kick his own butt. And then that also reveals the boot swivel, nicely hidden in the design as well, with the navy blue boots and feet. Same with the gloves and hands. So all in all, very simple character design, but I do like the colour palette here. It's undoubtedly going to pop on the shelf. How can it not, in that bright yellow? I like his cheesy grin as well. So yeah, I like that it's pinless, and he represents the character design very, very well. So he comes with 2 fisted hands out of the packaging, and then unfortunately his only accessories are these like grabby hands. So they're not even flat palms for running, they're just like more expressive grabby hands. But maybe you can get him in a running pose and they look okay, I suppose. I guess that works. His head does go all the way up, which is nice, to be fair, on this body, so it's going to work for some running poses. Let's try that, shall we? So let's get his legs up. Let's get that up, running, that one going back, flick the foot. And yeah, that's not bad, is it? There you go. He can get running. I like how that you can get the neck looking all the way up. So yeah, someone out there that can do better poses than me, but he's known for running fast, and you can absolutely get him in a pose doing exactly that. So here we have Blur next to Speed Demon. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, they are the same person, just from different realities. So they have the same power set, all the same. Now, the eagle-eyed viewer out there would have noticed I have already went ahead and actually swapped the hands, as this guy was on the old Pizza Spider-Man body. So it's a lot more gangly, to be fair, and it's got a bit jelly-legged over time, but I have been posing him in a running pose. So this one's a little bit bulkier, a little bit sturdier. Again, completely pinless compared to that one, but I do actually prefer the flat palm hands for a running pose, and that's exactly what I've just done. I've robbed them off Speed Demon, and now you can actually just plug them in. Now, the blues are not perfect, but I do think they just look better for a running pose. Not always, but again, personal preference and all that. So yeah, the blue, as you can see, is a little bit glossier than the matte blue and darker blue that's on the figure, but you can swap the hands for a pose. And again, I've just put the old ones on here, so up to you. Now, I wouldn't advise sneezing or even breathing in the vicinity of this, but just like Speed Demon, you can pose him up on one leg in a running pose. Moving on to Nighthawk, another character that we have had a previous version of in the Marvel Legends line already, and you can see him lurking in the background. We will compare them two shortly, but the Nighthawk we get here is on the new Vulcan body, so it is completely pinless, and all the way to the top of his helmet is over 6.5 inches tall. So as I said, exactly the same. They have just added a hole to plug in the cape, which is a separate piece. So you can take that off like so, move that to the side, and let me bring the Vulcan body in so you can see they are exactly the same base body. They just have new heads, new deco, obviously. So completely pinless all the way around and a decent range of articulation. There's got the hole for the cape. So you know what to expect if you have the Vulcan. We've started to get a few figures with that same base body now. I'm absolutely fine with it. So let's take a closer look. I think Nighthawk cuts a very nice silhouette with the symmetry of the cape and the sort of cowl both pointing upwards, and obviously it's got the hawk sort of pattern there. It's in like a metallic gold. You got the whited out eyes, the sort of black helmet, very, very nicely done. The inside of the cape is like a maroon, and the outside of the cape is a black, and it is nicely creased as well. Definitely not as sort of big and bulky as the previous cape on that old Bucky Cap version that took up a lot of real estate on the shelf. This guy's a lot more sleeker in design, and I actually prefer this costume design for him as well. You've got the black sort of base with the dark blue, and then the gold highlights more of the black on the forearms, and then on the hands, on the trunks, and then down at the boots as well. Otherwise it's all black with the maroon popping in the back. But if I take the cape off for a second, just to sort of take a look at the range on the Vulcan body, as we know, the arms will go the way up, bicep swivel, double jointed, pinless elbows. That's what we like to see. Nice range on the butterfly joint as well. Mine's a little bit stiff out the box, but it is decent enough. There's that. You got the swivel at the waist, of course. Crunch going back, it's pretty good. Forward, pretty good as well, and lots of range in the head. Dumbbell joint, really literally getting me some great flying poses the way that articulates. Legs go that far up. There is a thigh cut, of course, and there is double jointed, pinless knees. He can kick his back, and then he's got swivel at the boots, broken up with the design, and those flat shoes. So all in all, looks very nice. I do like the Vulcan base body as the new Marvel Legends standard. There's a hole in the back there. That's where we're going to plug in his cape, like so. And as I said, just a very sleek looking design. Very lackluster with accessories. Out of the box, he comes with a set of fisted hands. He also gets a pair of like open palm hands, which are hopefully there to hold what are definitely not batarangs. See, they're hawks. They're definitely not bats, they're hawks. They match the hawk logo on his chest. Subtly done, of course, but it's definitely a hawk, not a bat. His hands are massive, and to be fair, he doesn't really grip these very well at all. Like, they kept falling out the hands here. I'm trying to do my best to sort of squish them in between the fingers, but yeah, they keep falling out. This hand, I've literally just wedged them in between the fingers here, so we can sort of look like he's holding it. But if I try and get him in like a normal pose, I've got to balance it over the thumb, but it's just going to fall out. So, yeah, I appreciate the attempt here, but the execution isn't very good. Here we have our Marvel Legends Nighthawk comparison, and just like Blur, they are the same character, but from different places in the multiverse. So they're both accurate to their particular representation of Nighthawk. Now, the old one was on the old Bucky Cap body with his massive cape that was rock hard and genuinely took up a lot of real estate on the shelf. He was constantly knocking characters over for me. So this one is a lot more streamlined. It's on the better pinless body as well, of course, a little bit bulkier, and the cape is a much softer plastic as well, so it won't take up as much room. So I am going to try a little cape swap. I don't know why, it's not accurate at all. I was just genuinely curious, but the holes in the back of the figures are in different spots, so it rides very high on the neck. I do like the silhouette that this one cut. It's just rock hard, like literally you can see him dangling there. And then again, because the holes in the back are in different spots, this cape doesn't really work on him. Again, this isn't accurate, you don't need to do it, I was just curious. Now, this is the part of the review where I should bring in the Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum we already have to go along with these, but as I said, I do not have that set yet. It's one I'm going to have to backtrack on, knowing with confidence we're going to get Power Princess not too far away. So it will be nice to complete a team, but in regards to seeing it, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. But instead, I've got an even better comparison. It's Batman and the Flash. Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne have made an appearance on the channel. Do you see the similarities here between the two characters? Now, these of course are McFarlane figures. I really do wish there was a Marvel Legends sort of equivalent for DC, because I'd be all in, because McFarlane are a little bit hit and miss, to be honest. But I would like to complete a Justice team at some point. Moving on with comparisons, here we have Captain America and US Agent. Here we have an Iron Man and Thor. For some random females, here we have Moondragon, the Black Widow, who I have just reviewed on the channel. Quite possibly the best female Marvel Legend ever. Go and check it out. And then White Rabbit. How did you get here? Here we have some more pinless Marvel Legends, both on the Spider-Man Renew Your Vows body with Spider-Man and Daredevil. So it is nice to know that library is continuing to grow with pinless figures, very aesthetically pleasing. And here we have the Who crew with Frogman, Tigra and Jocasta, who is reading out comments from the last Marvel Legends review. Remember to leave one below on this video and she may pick you next.
Carrick Menace 6642 says, "This figure is the perfect example of what Marvel Legends should be. Multiple heads, effect pieces, and weapons to justify the annoying prices."
And of course, last but not least, Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. Stop it. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Squadron Supreme 2-pack with Nighthawk and Blur. Honestly, knowing that we're going to complete this team sooner rather than later then gives me confidence to actually buy these figures, as I know I'm going to have a completed display on the shelf. So I'm definitely going to backtrack and get Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum. And I'm very curious how they're going to release Power Princess, as they haven't really revealed those details yet. Is she single packed? Is she a deluxe? Another 2-pack? Part of a Build-A-Figure wave? I'm sure it will be revealed soon, but I'm curious. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Ultimately, these are nice representations of these updated character designs in this new pinless format. The thing that lets this 2-pack down is the lack of accessories for pose, play and display. More interchangeable heads, weapons, maybe effect pieces. I just think this box needed a little something more to see the value in there. But I do like these two figures and I think they represent those two characters very well. But knowing we're going to complete the team is the thing that actually makes me happy to have these. So I'm curious, do you feel the same? And as always, if you like Marvel Legends, and wow, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, the podcast, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all in the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and I'm on Twitter or X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.